Among the various powers that held influence over the territories of Kenshi, some simply sought independence from larger governments or to practice their own philosophies more openly, while others started gangs or bandit crews with the specific intent to pursue criminality, at times out of sheer malice or an unwillingness to earn honest cats, but more often out of desperation, left with no choice but to steal and kill to survive. One of the more powerful, better equipped factions of the Border Zone territory, the Dust Bandits were a collection of thugs led by the Dust King, an infamous criminal with a 35,000 cat bounty wanted by the continent's three greatest powers, the United Cities, Holy Nation, and Czech Kingdom. Establishing their headquarters in Dust King Tower, their hierarchy placed the Dust King at the top, followed by various Dust Bosses who took charge over smaller crews of Dust Bandits and Dust Bandit Bowmen. These crews regularly patrolled the border zone, often setting up temporary camps throughout the territory. A relatively successful gang, Dust Bandits were decently armed and armored, wearing spiked helms, heart protector chest armor, armored rag skirts, and samurai boots. In order to pay for these luxuries, they primarily earned cats through extortion and protection rackets, demanding payment from passing travelers or those settling the region. Not far from Dust King Tower was the Tower of Ninjas, home to the Black Dragon Ninjas, the other major gang of the border zone, where they attacked and robbed passing travelers, or else demanded protection money from those settling the territory. For those unwilling to pay tribute, they could expect relentless hordes of Black Dragon Genin sent to attack their settlements, killing or knocking out the population to take what they wanted. Rumored rivals to the elusive White Eyebrow clan, of who little is known, the Black Dragon Ninjas were led by the Scorchlander male Buzan and his lover, the Czech female Dimak, each wanted by the Holy Nation for a bounty of 20,000 cats. The final minor power of the border zone, the Starving Bandits or Hungry Bandits, were the largest of these gangs, with their people roaming far beyond the territory into Holy Nation lands like Okran's Gulf, Okran's Pride, and Okran's Valley, as well as Shem, Skinner's Rome, Dreg, and the northern coast. Yet they remained the weakest and least influential by far, as their crews were made up largely of escaped slaves and other desperate people on the verge of starvation who attacked passing travelers to steal food. Without any formal structure, crews were sometimes organized and held together by a starving bandit leader, but most were simply terrified people left with no other option but banditry, despite having little to no combat experience, wearing little to no armor, and wielding only the most basic weapons possible. As they did not act out of malice and had no larger goal or ambition aside from filling their bellies, they were sometimes willing to forego an attack in exchange for a donation of cats. Should an individual prove generous and regularly donate funds to help their people, they might even earn the respect and friendship of the gang, turning them into allies that offer aid in combat. One of the most fearless gangs on the continent, chasing death at every turn, the Black Desert Ninjas, or Cloud Ninjas, were skilled warriors that, in addition to patrolling the relatively safe Grey Desert, often roamed the Black Desert Deadlands and Iron Valley, where they attacked and robbed passing travelers while suffering under constant environmental danger, including acid rain and poisonous gas clouds, preferring to suffer and die under these hostile conditions than abandon their territory for more hospitable locations. Skilled warriors operating out of the Cactus Den in Spine Canyon, the Sand Ninjas also patrolled the Eye and Great Desert, robbing passing travelers or else demanding protection money from nearby settlements. Led by Sand Ninja Oni, they were divided into regular Sand Ninjas and elite Sand Ninja Jonin. Taking their training so seriously, they held trials that involved sending members alone into the wasteland to fend for themselves and prove worthy of promotion. A territorial gang attacking anyone they deemed a threat within the Eye, Stormgap Coast, and Outlands. The Grass Pirates were relatively strong warriors with respectable martial arts skills, allowing them to prove a deadly threat even when unarmed. A decentralized faction of smaller groups led by straw lieutenants, Grass Pirates were well-known enemies of the United Cities Empire, often fighting their soldiers in the Stormgap Coast, but maintained decent relations with a preacher cult in the Eastlands of the same territory, with whom they peacefully coexisted. highly skilled martial artists who wore no armor and fought with bare hands. The Gorrillo Bandits were based out of an old prison in the Bone Fields, while also patrolling Flats Lagoon, attacking and robbing passing travelers. Led by Gorrillo, the large, powerful warrior was an enemy to the Shek Kingdom and United Cities Empire, wanted for a sizable bounty of 50,000 cats. Possessing an exile plank, the same weapon wielded by Shek warriors, it is possible Gorrillo defeated the famous warrior Suchon the Ghost, causing his exile from the Shek Kingdom and founding of the Berserker Rebels. Based out of the Black Dog HQ in the Outlands, the Black Dogs were a bandit crew that raised bone dogs for combat, sending their patrols into the Outlands, the Bone Fields, Flats Lagoon, the Grey Desert, and Stormgap Coast. Though they occasionally extorted money from those they encountered, for the most part, they left passing travelers alone, instead earning cats through protection money extracted from those who settled their territory. Patrolling Spine Canyon, the Grey Desert, and the Eye, Blood Raiders were sometimes called Blood Bandits, known to attack and rob anyone they encountered. A faction of skeleton bandits, the Thrall Masters were a gang of enslaved robots who attacked passing travelers under the orders of their free masters, Screamer the False and Punk from the Tower of Abuse in Venge. Though they also roamed the Grey Desert and Eye, they were largely protected from outside powers because their home territory of Venge was under constant attack during the daytime from deadly lasers, likely sent by a faulty orbiting satellite in space. This meant non-robots could suffer terrible wounds and die if they stayed in the area too long. Although the Thrall Masters attacked almost anyone who violated their territory, they peacefully coexisted with other robot factions in the region, including the Skeleton Legion, associated with the Second Empire exiles. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Drac the Bronze, Raj the Jar, Your Cheap Date, and Sir Elendil of Numenor. If you wish to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos, vote on future content, or watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.